look at it, it's more like how a lot of people are just into true crime cases, mysterious cases. Like, I guess you can look at it like in that dark way, but nobody's happy that this stuff happened to these people. And whenever I do a true crime video or I read a scary story about something bad happening, I mean, there's a weird part of the brain that finds that intriguing, but no part of me finds it pleasant, or like pleasant that happened is what I mean. Like, no, I'm happy that, I'm not happy that there's like a true crime case that I can do, because that means somebody got, messed up, but like, people are interested in it, like, it's not, people are like, how are you relaxing to it? It's like, no, it's distracting, and the whispers are relaxing me, I don't know, that's a whole nother convo. Whole nother convo. So, as you can see, I'm not in my usual position when I record, because I messed up my ankle pretty bad playing basketball, so I am straight up in my bed, letting the ankle heal. So I was thinking, let's record some scary stories. I'm gonna be in here in my freaking room, you know what I mean? Okay, so these scary stories. I used to live next to a senile old woman who would knock on my door late at night crying and saying there was somebody in her roof. I'd always have to assure her that it was just possums running around and it was fine. This went on for years, until her kids finally sent her to a home and new people moved in. A week or so after this, I woke up to police cars on the street outside my house. I asked the new neighbor what happened, and he told me he got out of bed to pee and saw legs dangling out of the ceiling in the kitchen and assumed he was being robbed. The guy got away, but when the cops checked inside the roof, they found chairs, cans of beans, water bottles, magazines, and some blankets. Old mate had been set up there for at least 2 years, assuming her complaints coincided with him moving in. She once told me her dementia was so bad she'd sometimes have to go grocery shopping a few times a day because she'd come home and realize she forgot to buy anything. I wonder if it was just because he was taking all her food. I've heard similar stories like that. That was creepy. Of the stories of people inside your house. You don't even know it. It's pretty scary. It's a pretty scary thought, to be honest. This one's like 2 sentences. I heard a story about a woman who was running from something and tried to hop a fence but got impaled on it. She was left there for days because people thought she was a Halloween decoration. Oh, and then somebody edited this and they said I was wrong. She was actually beaten to death and hung on a fence. Oh my gosh, that's very brutal. Jeez. And I will be doing another true crime video as well. I'm gonna do different stuff too, but we're gonna keep it. I did a poll on my channel too. Go vote on the poll, please. A house slash babysit while she took the husband to the ER for stitches. A little while later, the wife called home and asked her to check on the daughter. The neighbor discovered the dead body, stabbed daughter, sort of shoved in the toilet. It turns out the dad had been sexually molesting the daughter for years. Oh my gosh, she became older, she learned about this. Okay guys, sorry, that one just got too deep. I gotta get away from that. I don't like that stuff. I hope these are not all like... No, they're not. Worked at a woman's clothing mail order catalog call center. Worked at a woman's clothing mail order catalog call center. Sorry guys. During training, veteran worker was talking about getting to know the frequent callers and the story of them. So, old lady used to call in often. She was blind, but would have someone help her pick out things. The manager of her apartment complex, I think. She would order often, and they got to know her by name. Well, eventually she stopped calling in, so they contacted the number they had for her, which was the apartment manager's number. Old lady was fine, but had to be moved to a new building because, well, the old blind lady was very meticulous with her cleaning. She cleaned everything often, at old lady level. So the manager had come in to do some maintenance for the first time in many months. Every room in her apartment above head level had thick webs and nests of black window spiders, hundreds of hundreds. Can you imagine an oblivious old lady walking around blind in a house she thinks is spotlessly clean, but there is a soul-freezing nightmare swarming all over the ceiling. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy if you ask me, you know what I'm saying? I shared this story before, but it's a good one. This happened to a friend of mine a few years ago when he and his wife were hiking in the Gold Coast, hinterland in Queensland, Australia. After a good day's hike, they stopped at the rest stop to use the bathroom before heading back to the car. The bathrooms at the rest stop were compost toilets, so the block of toilets were positioned on top of a large tank. The waste goes in the tank and breaks down naturally. In the winter months, often shoots a blast of cool air up the bum. My friend's wife went to use the ladies' room while he waited outside, but she had not been in there long when he heard her scream and rush out of the toilet. It's Australia, so there are many reasons for running out of a bush toilet, screaming, snakes, spiders, drop bears. But this one takes the cake. There's a man in the toilet. My friend was confused. His wife explained to him that she'd gone to the loo, and after she finished, she looked into the tank and she saw a bald man staring up at her. He didn't believe her, but she was adamant he'd go look, so he went into the ladies, and the flashlight from his phone, he illuminated the poo pool. To get a better look, he couldn't see anything, but she was certain there was someone hiding in the tank watching people use the toilet. As they were leaving and still arguing about it, they were approached by a man. "Excuse me, but did you see something weird in the toilet?" My friend's wife answered, "Yes." The man replied, "Was it a man?" He and his girlfriend had been hiking the weekend before, and his girlfriend had seen the same thing. They all ran back up to the toilets for a second look. When they reached the door, they heard a sound from behind the much like above ground, and everything you do in the bathroom is going straight into like a room underneath. It's not like, I'm sure you usually have a toilet and it just goes through a tiny pipe and goes throughout the hole wherever it goes. This is like going into a room and there's somebody down there looking up. There's a lot of things wrong with that. True story about my grandma that takes place before they had children. My grandpa worked night shifts. My grandpa Daryl worked night shift, and my grandma Doria was home alone most nights. Her sister-in-law Rose would randomly come over to keep her company. Oh, it's Dora, not Doria, sorry. Dora decided to go to bed early one night. Rose came over that night to see how she was doing. She went to Dora's bedroom after calling for her with a reply of, "I'm in bed, just come in." Upon entering the room, Rose starts acting weird and telling her she really wants her to get up and come with her. There was something in the kitchen. Dora was ready to go to sleep and was already in bed and really didn't want to. Rose was really adamant for her to come help her, telling her it was urgent. After a while, Dora eventually got up and followed Rose to the kitchen. Upon entering, Rose whispers in a panic with tears in her eyes, "There's a man." Sorry about that. Dora was ready to go to sleep. She was already in bed. Really didn't want to go. Rose, I lost my place. Rose was really adamant for her to come help, telling her it was urgent. After a while, Dora eventually got up. Upon entering, Rose whispers in a panic with tears in her eyes, "There's a man under your bed with a knife." Dora, of course, didn't believe at first, but seeing the panic in Rose's eyes, she could not believe her. They proceeded to call the cops and left to the neighbor's house. The cops came and found a man hiding in the closet with a butcher knife, and that is the story of how my grandmother was almost murdered, and why still to this day, as a 30-year-old man, check under the bed, the bed, the bed, the bed, the bed, the bed, the bed. Pretty creepy stuff. Anytime there's any story about an intruder or somebody in the house not supposed to be there, it's always like, it's very scary. My hometown has the world's biggest man-made dam. In its early stages, the workers had to relocate coffins of a cemetery that was in the path of the dam. One worker accidentally dropped a coffin, which opened and revealed deep scratch marks on its lid. The workers decided to open the rest of the coffins and found that several others had also had deep scratch marks on the lids. Oh my gosh. This couple had a huge tree in their backyard and it started to smell and ooze. They had arborists come in and look at the tree, but no one could figure out what was wrong. almost wrecked his car. There was a 10-foot ditch along the road, so I couldn't see any car. Says his wife hurt. Wife comes crawling up. She's bloody too. I offer to call the police for help and wait until they arrive. They want to wait in the van. I politely decline. At that point, they tried pulling the door handles to get into my van. I don't know if they were truly hurt or if this was a hillbilly ruse, but I wasn't willing to wait around to find out. I was fortunate that they didn't have a weapon of any sort. Adrenaline from the situation kept me awake until 4 a.m. Holy crap. Holy crap. Holy crap. Sorry about that, I just headbutted the mic. This happened to my teacher in high school. I don't have any way of verifying its truth, but I can't think of any reason she'd have to lie and seemed very shaken up when telling our class. My teacher is a woman, and she was probably in her mid-40s at the time. Her husband was out of town, so she was sleeping at home by herself on a random weeknight when she starts hearing this thud over and over again. After a couple minutes, she gets out of the bed and tries to figure out what it is. It sounds like it's coming from the backyard, so she looks out of one of the windows on the second floor. There's a man repeatedly flinging himself at her back door. The way she described this guy, you could just see she was extremely disturbed by him. She said it was like he had no regard for his body. He would just take 2 to 3 steps back and slam his whole body into the door. She said she thought he had to be on some kind of drugs, but still she lives in a quiet, pretty much crime-free neighborhood, and some dude randomly started ramming his body at her door. Anyway, she called the cops, and the lady on the line told her she should leave the house, but she thought she would be safer staying in her room and hiding. I can't even imagine how scared she must have been waiting for the police to arrive. They came after a couple minutes and arrested the guy. She didn't get to speak to him or really find out very much. Other than that, they put him in jail. I graduated before I found anything else about it. Yo, that is pretty trippy. Okay, we got one more short one. While driving 55 to 60 miles per hour down dark back road one night, I saw a truck pulled over on the side of the road ahead as I drove past. As I drove past it, a man ran out from behind it and attempted to punch my car. Yes, that's correct. He ran at and attempted to throw a punch at a vehicle traveling at freeway speed. It looked like he just missed by a few inches. I saw his face for a brief moment, and it was truly